Yeah, what's going on, guys? Boom and kaboom. Seth Spartan here, guys. Today we're doing another quick take coming at you. Quick video series on what? Basically all the anabolic steroids, all the compounds, peptides, SARMs, everything. Giving you guys a quick rundown on really how these things work, sides, etc. So we got a little bit of science to lay out, keeping it short, sweet, and to the point, because really we're here for what you guys are all interested in. What you guys all want to know. How does this play out in the real world? So let's talk about Deca. But first, I want to tell you guys, if you want performance testosterone replacement and dosages, go ahead and go to my new clinic, the humanperformanceclinic.com. Basically what I do is I pit doctors, pharmacies against each other to get you guys the lowest price, the dosages you need, and working with people one-on-one. Besides that, guys, if you guys want the best peptides, obviously we have two options, Peptide Pro and also Pure Raws for the best peptides, SARMs, etc., what have you. Links for both are in the description and comments, and coupons for both 20% off are in the description and comments. But enough of that, let's get started. All right, and we'll try not to flex so much, during the video, because people are saying I'm flexing nonstop, but can't be helped, right? Anyways, let's get into this, guys. All right, so first and foremost, let's get into the science. Let's break this thing down. There's two things really you guys need to know about. What is that in terms of science, medical literature? Number one, Deca, also known as Nandrolone, is what? It's a 19-nor. It's a 19-nor anabolic steroid. Why is this important? We have three main classes of anabolic steroids. We have what? Testosterone derivatives, we have DHT derivatives, and we have 19-nor derivative anabolic steroids. And this is important to see what they come from in terms of those trees, because that's going to dictate, you guys, what effects we get from them. Like, there are effects specific to testosterone derivatives, DHT, and 19-nor. 19-nor comes with some heavy-handed negatives. We're going to get into that in a second. And to give you guys the gist of it, we're talking about artery, okay? Artery dangers. Let's keep moving through the science. The second scientific point that you need to know in this entire video to give us an understanding is the anabolic ratio. Deca, Nandrolone, has an anabolic rating or ratio of 125, anabolic to only 37 androgenic. And we'll answer in a second, is this applicable in the real world? So let's get away from the science. Let's sum this stuff up. All right, have I used Deca? Plenty of it. Let's get into what you guys want to know. How's this play in the real world in terms of what? Muscle mass, baby. How does Deca perform in terms of muscle mass? I'm going to tell you guys firsthand, Deca is great for building muscle. Milligram per milligram, I've noticed it's about the same as testosterone, and you want to use a shorter ester chain to compare something like testosterone cypionate to Deca cypionate. You can get that depending where you go, what you do. Because obviously ester release, absorption, this plays a role depending on what ester you get with the Deca. Regular Deca is always what? Decoinate. Having said that, milligram per milligram, how's this play out in the real world? Is it really a 125? I would say it's closer to a 100. That's just me. Other people can comment, but in terms of muscle mass, still, it is good. It's up there with testosterone. So for muscle mass, huge gain for muscle mass. The side effects are a whole nother thing, and there's a reason why I don't touch this stuff. We'll get into that in a second, but I do want to note, and this goes along with muscle mass, Deca has an interesting positive property. Do all 19-nors have this? No, but Deca specifically has an interesting property where it increases synovial fluid in the joints temporarily. Why? How? We have a little bit of estrogen binding and progesterone binding we can talk about with Deca, and how these mechanisms all work. I talk about this more in Deca Unleashed, our breakdown on Deca. We've been there, done that. We're not doing that again, all right? But having said that, muscle mass, great. In terms of joints, huge positive. But keep in mind, it's temporary. It is a temporary fix, a Band-Aid fix. Why? Because when you get off this stuff, guys, that effect's gonna go away, okay? You're not gonna have that estrogen, progesterone binding in the joints, increasing synovial fluid. All right, moving into fat loss. Ladies and gentlemen, what about fat loss? Deca is absolutely terrible for fat loss. We are talking less than testosterone. Remember, guys, the reason testosterone causes a little bit of fat loss is why? Why? Because of the conversion of testosterone into DHT, the DHT then being a potent binder of what? Body fat, releasing stored fatty acids. That's why you get a little bit of fat loss with testosterone usage, right? Okay, that's the root causes, the DHT. Now, with something like Deca, we almost have none of this binding, and the bound Deca on the fat cells, the binding is not something like a pure DHT like Winstrol, Anavar, Anadrol, okay? So in terms of real world fat loss, not very good. Moving on into strength. Deca for strength. I'm going to say it's okay. Testosterone is better for strength. This is coming, we're talking about in the real world. I've used all this stuff. I've had scripts for who knows, guys, real Deca versus real testosterone. Testosterone all day, every day, milligram per milligram in terms of strength. Do people still add this stuff in for strength and strength competitions? A little bit, but it's more so for the joints. Okay, in terms of strength, the best strongmen and powerlifters in the world are going what? High doses of testosterone, halotestin, Anadrol, maybe some of them trenbolone. Do I advise any of that? No. Do everything safely, legally, under doctor supervision, no matter what you do. Moving on, let's get into sides and negatives and end this big video. All right. So, in terms of sides and negatives, the big side and negative, let's start right at the top. The biggest side, the biggest negative with what? With Deca is none other than, comes back to what? The 19-nor we talked about. Deca is a 19-nor. Now, 19-nors have been discovered recently. We got testosterone derivatives, we have DHT derivatives, and we have what? 19-nor derivatives. 19-nor derivatives have recently, listen up, have recently been found to cause much more artery stress and damage to blood vessels, okay? Now, this is in the early stages of research, but regardless, what we know is that some studies, and again, there's studies, but still, this is enough reason never to touch this stuff. In some studies, we're seeing as much as 10 times the amount of damage to artery lining, blood vessel lining with Deca milligram per milligram than testosterone. Okay, so this is early. Can I prove anything yet? No, absolutely not. We don't have human trials, animal studies, any of that yet. However, 10 times, we're not talking a 50% increase. We're not talking a 2x increase. 10 times, even if that's an early stage in lab settings, research settings, that's enough reason for me to say, I ain't never touching this, okay? You guys do what you want. You're adults. Having said that, let's move into the other sides and negatives. Really, guys, listen up. Honestly, in terms of negatives, for me, I've had terrible negatives with Deca. Depression, mad depression from the stuff. Anxiety, erectile dysfunction. I don't feel good at all on Deca. Doesn't matter if I'm running testosterone or not with it. And I haven't used this stuff in a very long time, by the way. But doesn't matter for me. This stuff is terrible. Other people love this stuff. They run it with their testosterone, legally with a prescription. Some people without a prescription, but other people don't have any issues. They feel fine. For me, it is, in terms of the mental, it's good for gains and everything, but in terms of the brain, we're talking this part of the body, in terms of brain and my mental state, I can't touch this stuff. Other people can. It just shows how much we are different, how much God made us different genetic-wise. Guys, that's pretty much it for Deca Quick Take. Coming at you guys with another fast video. Guys, we got more videos coming soon talking about whatever. If you guys want me to do a video on a particular subject, just comment. We're going to keep running through all this stuff, but comment. We'll get you a video made and keep moving, all right? Seth Spartan, we're out.